Now, I spent, before coming to Northrop Grumman, about 23 years in government. I just want to point one thing out. There's one element that I see with every awardee, and it's almost contagious. Isn't there a passion about what they do and how they present it? That's the one word that I always thought of when I saw people that were just so engaged, so proud of what they did, and obviously so effective. So I want to congratulate all of the awardees, but one in particular. I'm here to present the award to Andrew Romanoff. In fact, Andrew's dad, Marvin, is here tonight with us as well. I want to welcome Marvin. And just about every legislative leader starts out promising a new bipartisan spirit. It's rare to find one who actually delivers. When the Democrats took over the Colorado House in 2005, Andrew Romanoff became Speaker, the first Democratic Speaker in 30 years. Some of his party colleagues felt it was time for a little payback. Romanoff made clear that he wasn't going to do that. He said he would treat Republicans as partners, not as enemies. He rehired the Republican House clerk. He let the minority make its own appointments to crucial committees. But Andrew Romanoff's greatest feat was pulling together a bipartisan coalition that gave voters a chance to rewrite Tabor, a constitutional provision that was crippling the state's budget process. Tabor put a straitjacket on public spending, even as another law mandating regular increases for education was actually mandating increases in spending. The result left nothing in the way of resources to meet Colorado's crucial needs in other areas such as health and transportation. As Romanoff likes to say, we were driving with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. Romanoff not only reached across the aisle to get Republicans in the legislature to join him, he formed an alliance that many said was impossible. He won the support of Republican Governor Bill Owens, who as a state legislator had helped write Tabor. Together they got the reform law passed and put their state on the road to sensible fiscal policy. Colorado still, like many states, has budget problems, but as he retires as Speaker as a result of term limits, Andrew Romanoff can depart with the satisfaction that he's brought the state closer to long-term economic stability than it has been in a long time. Andrew delivered on his promise of bipartisan cooperation. Colorado is a much better state for that promise. That's why we're proud to honor him tonight as Public Official of the Year.
Thank you very much. A guest told me on the way up that this award is a big deal because apparently nobody else in Washington pays any attention to what goes on at a state and local level. So I want to thank you for departing from the usual proceedings and giving us a chance to share some thoughts with you. We're under strict instructions, as you've heard, not to thank anyone tonight. So I will not be thanking my mom, who's here, although she is the reason I decided to become a Democrat. I'll not be thanking my dad, who is the reason I've decided to remain a Democrat. He's a Republican. But, and rest assured, I have no intention of thanking my uncle or my cousins who are visiting from California and New York, and in many ways are the reason that I decided to move to Colorado, nor will I be thanking my adopted family, my friends in Denver, the reason I've remained in Colorado. I won't be thanking any of these folks tonight, but I will be thanking you. And I will tell you, just about everything I needed to learn in politics, I learned by talking to kids and knocking on doors. And I just want to share with you two lessons from those experiences. And I will ask you for some indulgence here because I have a partisan story to tell at the outset. So the Republicans in the room, Dad, Governor Daniels, I'll ask you to bear with me here. About 10 years ago, I lost my job. I used to work for a fellow named Roy Romer, who was the governor of our state at the time. We didn't keep the governorship. We didn't pick up any seats in Congress or the U.S. Senate or either chamber in the state legislature. It was a pretty grim night to be a Democrat in Colorado back in 1998. And about a week after that election, I went to do what I enjoy most about my job. I went to speak to a group of young people. I told them what had happened in the election the week before. I told them how my team had been outgunned and outnumbered and outmatched and outspent and just lost everything it was, I guess, a fairly depressing presentation because at the end of it, one young man, one boy sitting in the front row raised his hand and he said, "Well, Mr. Romanoff, why don't you just move somewhere where people agree with you?" Little Timmy Owens, I think his name was. And so I had him suspended. But the truth is, Colorado, like I suspect most states, is actually a place where people agree with one another on education, on healthcare, on economic development and transportation. This year, especially on renewable energy, there is an opportunity to find some common ground, broad bipartisan consensus in the legislature and among the citizenry. Too often, I think that consensus doesn't get reflected in the stories the press likes to tell. And one of the reasons I want to thank Governing Magazine tonight is not just for giving me this honor, but also because this magazine, more than just about any other, actually delves into the hard and sometimes boring work of public policy, the real work of lawmaking, which is not as sexy or sensational, doesn't capture the headlines, doesn't reflect the knockdown, drag-out food fights that sometimes occupy our time on the floor of the House or the Senate, but it's actually where the real work gets done. So I appreciate Governing's interest in that subject and your interest in supporting it as well. The truth is we have made real progress by bringing Democrats and Republicans together in Colorado on all those issues. Because of the work that Governor Owens led and a Democratic majority in the legislature was able to join, 25,000 more kids in our state will have access to preschool or full-day kindergarten. 50,000 more children in Colorado will have access to health insurance. We'll be able to see a doctor or a nurse on a regular basis so they can get the checkups they need, the immunizations they need to lead healthy and productive lives. Good news for the kids of Colorado. We made a bigger dent in the waiting list for people with developmental disabilities like autism or Down syndrome or cerebral palsy than at any point since that waiting list itself was first developed, and a record increase this year into higher education funding. We have made progress. We have, as you heard, still real challenges to face, but the truth is the debate now no longer pits Democrats against Republicans, no longer asks folks who believe in limited government to battle with those who want lavish new programs. In many ways, the battle we face in our state today really is one that pits folks who believe that there ought to be some role for the public sector against those who see no role at all. A battle between people who believe that government can do some things and people for whom the answer to the question, what level of public funding do you support, for those folks the answer is zero. And that's the last story I wanted to share with you, something I learned just by knocking on doors. Those of you who have run for public office know when you go door to door, you have a voter list in front of you. A D follows the names of each of the Democrats and R after the Republicans. One night I knocked on a door and an L appeared on the voter file after the name of a Libertarian. And so I approached the door with some trepidation, and I knocked on it, and a woman answered, and she invited me inside, which doesn't usually happen, not just among libertarians, but women in general. Sorry, Mom. And I was prepared to talk to her about the battles we were having over the budget or the issues that we were confronting around education or healthcare, but she had a much more fundamental challenge in store for me that day. She said, "How do you justify government?" And I thought to myself, and finally I straightened my tie and stood up and I said, "Well, ma'am, it seems to me there are some things that we can do together, like pave a pothole, or fight a fire, or teach a child, or treat an illness. Things that we just can't do as well or as easily on our own." She said, "Well, that's a typical Democratic thing to say," and she threw me out of the house. But I don't think so. I think there are plenty of folks, Democrats and Republicans and independents alike, who all recognize that there are some things that we can do together that we can't do as well or as easily on our own. Folks who recognize that we are more than the sum of our parts. And I'm glad that you're here tonight to remind us of that, to hold our feet to the fire. I'm glad that I'm here with you, and more than anything, I owe my interest in public service to my grandparents, who once upon a time made me and my twin sister realize there are plenty of folks around the world who don't have the basic opportunities that we'd always taken for granted. Thank you for giving me a chance to share these thoughts with you.